You know that feeling when you're like putting in the work, maybe at the gym or trying a new budget, but it just feels like, whoa, like you're going nowhere.
Oh, yeah. Stuck. Pushing against a wall is super common.
Exactly. So today we're going to dive deep into why that happens and, more importantly, how to build habits that actually stick. And not just stick, but kind of change who you are.
That's the goal, right? Moving beyond just willpower. It's about creating real lasting change by understanding what's going on under the hood.
And our main source for this is James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, which, I gotta say, isn't your typical self-help fluff?
No, it's very practical, really evidence-based. He gives you a solid framework for, understanding how these tiny, tiny changes, these atomic habits, how they can lead to, well, pretty remarkable results over time.
Right. It's about the small stuff adding up. So for you, the learner, our mission here is to pull out the really actionable bits from the book.
The aha moments, basically, the strategies you can actually use right away, whatever you're working on.
Without getting totally bogged down in theory.
Exactly. And it's not just about hitting goals, like running a marathon or something. It's deeper than that.
Yeah, that's the central idea we really want to explore today, isn't it? That habits aren't just about getting stuff done. They're fundamentally about who you become.
Precisely. And that changes everything, really. How you approach building new habits or breaking old ones, it's a big shift in perspective.
Okay, so let's start unpacking that. The book kicks off with something called the plateau of latent potential. This really hit home for me. It describes that feeling perfectly, you're working hard, consistently, but nothing, no results.
Right, and Clear uses that great ice cube analogy. You've got an ice cube at, say, 25 degrees.
Okay.
And you start warming the room, 26, 27, 28 degrees.
Yeah.
You're putting in energy, right? All the way up to 31.
Still ice, nothing's visibly changed.
Exactly. And you feel like, what's the point? This isn't working.
Totally. You'd be tempted to just give up.
But here's the thing, that energy wasn't wasted. It was being stored, accumulated. All that work raising the temperature was essential.
Ah.
The melting, the big change you see, only happens at that tipping point, 32 degrees. So the progress was happening all along, just latently.
That makes so much sense. Progress isn't always this straight upward line. Sometimes you're just storing potential.
And that's exactly what happens with habits. You're tracking your food, maybe, but the scale isn't moving. Or practicing guitar, but you still sound kind of clumsy.
It's discouraging.
It is, but you are making progress under the surface. That effort is compounding. And those overnight successes we hear about,
Yeah.
they're usually just the moment when all that stored latent potential finally breaks through. It's the result of all the unseen work.
The key is trusting that process, even when you can't see the results yet. Stick with it.
Exactly. Keep putting in the work. Now, this leads to the next really big idea, which you mentioned, the connection between habits and identity.
Right. This really flipped how I thought about it.
It's about seeing habits not just as actions, but as,
Well,
as expressions of who you believe you are. Every habit, Clear argues, is tied to some underlying belief about yourself, your identity.
so it's not just, I want to run a marathon. It's becoming someone who identifies as a runner.
Precisely. And that's why trying to maintain habits that clash with your self-image is so hard, almost impossible long-term.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, his example is someone who wants more money, right? But their identity is fundamentally that of a consumer, someone who enjoys spending.
Right.
So even if they set saving goals, that core identity keeps pulling them back to spending. It sabotages the goal because the behavior doesn't match the identity.
Wow. Okay, so lasting change isn't just about willpower or making a plan.
It requires an identity shift. You need to start seeing yourself differently.
And how does that happen? It sounds kind of abstract.
Well, he makes it practical. Think about people who take, immense pride in their hair. Or someone who really identifies with being strong, the size of their biceps. That pride fuels the habits. Right. If you see yourself as someone with great hair, you'll naturally do the things to maintain it. If you identify as strong, skiving workouts feels wrong. It contradicts who you believe you are.
So the pride reinforces the habit and the habit reinforces the identity. It's a loop.
Exactly. And this leads to his idea of votes. Every action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be.
Okay. So choosing the salad over the burger is a vote for healthy person.
Writing one paragraph is a vote for writer. Meditating for 5 minutes is a vote for calm person.
One vote doesn't change everything overnight, though.
No, of course not. But as those votes accumulate day after day, they build up evidence. evidence that starts to change how you see yourself.
So those tiny habits, the atomic ones, they're powerful because they provide proof for a new identity.
That's the paradox, yeah. Small improvements consistently applied lead to big identity shifts over time. The most practical way to change who you are is to change what you do.
Write a page, you're a writer, do push-ups, you're athletic, practice Spanish, you're becoming bilingual.
Exactly. And each time you do it, you're not just getting closer to an outcome, you're literally embodying that identity. You start to trust yourself. Hey, I can do this.
But what about slipping up? Nobody's perfect. You skip the gym, you eat the cake.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
He makes a great point here. It's not about being perfect. It's like an election.
Okay.
You don't need 100% of the votes to win. You just need a majority.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might cast some votes for unhealthy person or lazy person sometimes. That happens.
As long as most of your votes are going towards the identity you want?
Right. Win the majority of the battles each day. Accumulate more evidence for the positive identity than the negative one.
So you need proof. You can't just wish yourself into a new identity.
Nope. Actions first. Beliefs follow the evidence. So the process is basically 2 steps.
Okay.
1, decide the type of person you want to be. What are your principles, your values?
Get clear on the target identity.
Exactly. And 2, prove it to yourself with small wins. Consistently cast those votes with tiny habits.
And remember, your identity isn't set in stone. You choose it every day with your actions.
That's the empowering part.
Mm.
It's all about becoming. Habits are the pathway to becoming the person you want to be.
Okay, that's a powerful foundation. Habits and identity. Now let's get into the mechanics. How do habits actually work? Claire breaks it down into 4 stages, a feedback loop.
Yeah, this is the backbone of every habit. Cue, craving, response, reward, always in that order. Your brain runs through this loop every time.
All right, let's take them one by one. First up, the cue. What's that?
The cue is the trigger. It's the bit of information that tells your brain, hey, there's a reward coming if you do X. Think back, evolutionarily.
Okay.
Our ancestors needed cues for survival rewards, food, water, safety, a rustle in the bushes, the smell of ripe fruit.
And now it's more like the notification sound on our phone or seeing the couch.
Exactly. Modern cues often predict secondary rewards, money, fame, approval, love, satisfaction, stuff that indirectly still kind of boosts our survival and reproduction odds deep down.
So the cue kicks things off. Then comes the craving.
The craving is the motivation, the wanting. It's not the habit itself, but the desire for the change in state the habit brings. The cue predicts the reward, and the craving makes you want that reward.
It's the urge, the itch you need to scratch, like seeing donuts and suddenly needing one.
Precisely that. It's the force driving you to act.
Which leads to the response. That seems straightforward.
It is. The response is the actual habit you perform, the action or thought. Whether you act depends on, how motivated you are and how much friction there is. Is it easy or hard to do?
Right. If the craving's strong and it's easy, you'll probably do it.
Mm-hmm. And finally, the reward.
The payoff.
The payoff, yeah. The satisfaction you get. And this does 2 crucial things. 1, it satisfies the craving, relief.
Sure.
2, it teaches your brain, hey, that worked. Remember this action. It's worth repeating.
So pleasure and disappointment are feedback. Do this again, or don't bother.
Your brain's a reward detector, basically.
Yeah.
And if any of those 4 stages are weak, no clear cue, weak craving, difficult response, unsatisfying reward, the behavior won't become a habit. The loop breaks down.
It's a neat little cycle. Cue, craving, response, reward.
And the brain gets incredibly good at spotting these cues, often unconsciously. It's like a prediction machine.
He gives examples, right? Like museum curators who can just sense a fake, or radiologists spotting tiny things on scans.
Exactly. Through tons of repetition, their brains learn these subtle patterns. They might not even be able to explain why they know, they just do. It's pattern recognition on a massive scale.
Even hairdressers sensing pregnancy from hair texture. Wild.
It shows how much our brain processes subconsciously, predicting outcomes based on past experience, often without us even realizing it.
Which means a lot of our habits run on autopilot.
Totally. The more automatic a habit becomes, the less conscious attention we pay to it. We just do it. We assume it's fine. We don't question it.
Like his wife's checklist before leaving the house. Keys, wallet, glasses, husband.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way to bring that unconscious routine back into awareness, just to double check. We overlook things we do constantly.
Which brings us to the first step in changing habits. Awareness. You can't change what you don't notice.
Crucial. So much of why we fail is just Lack of awareness about our own routines.
How do we get more aware? He suggests a couple of tools.
Yeah, pointing and calling is one, like pilots use. You literally say out loud what you're doing or seeing. Checking mirror, pressing button.
Yeah.
It forces consciousness onto an automatic action.
And the habits scorecard.
That's just listing out your daily habits, morning routine, work habits, evening routine, and labeling them. Good, plus, bad, or neutral.
Just writing it down can be really revealing, I bet, seeing it all laid out.
It really can. Okay, so we've got the loop, we've got awareness. Now for the 4 laws of behavior change. These are the levers we pull to build good habits and break bad ones. Law #1, make it obvious.
This one targets the cue stage, right?
Exactly. Make the cues for your good habits unmissable. Make the cues for your bad habits invisible. We act on what's prominent.
He mentioned that British study on exercise habits.
Right, the 2001 study. 3 groups. Group 1 just tracked exercise. Group 2 got motivational info. Neither group exercised much more.
Okay.
Group 3 had to make a specific plan. I will exercise on day, at time, and place, and implementation intention.
And their success rate shot way up.
Way up, like 91% exercised at least once a week, compared to maybe 35–38% in the other groups. Specificity makes a huge difference.
So instead of I'll eat healthier, it's I will eat an apple with lunch at my desk tomorrow.
Precisely. It answers the when and where, removes ambiguity. The formula is simple. I will behavior at time and location, works for gratitude, relationships, anything.
And then there's habit stacking. I really like this one.
Yeah, it's super practical. You link a new habit you want to an existing habit you already do.
The formula being, after current habit, I will new habit.
It uses the momentum of your existing routine, like after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or after I take off my work shoes, I will change into my workout clothes.
You piggyback the new habit onto an established one. Makes sense. You can even chain them together, right?
Yeah, build little routines, like a positive version of that Diderot effect, where one purchase leads to another. Small stacks build momentum.
Environment is huge here, too, for making things obvious.
Oh, absolutely critical.
Yeah.
The more visible something is, the more likely you are to use it or do it. Think about product placement in stores, or why Starbucks seems to be everywhere.
We go for the easy, obvious option, even if we think we're making a conscious choice.
We really do. And vision is our dominant sense. Right? So visual cues are incredibly powerful. Change what you see, and you can dramatically change what you do.
So design your space. Want to read more. Put books everywhere. Want to eat healthier. Fruit bowl on the counter. Junk food hidden away.
Exactly. Make the cues for good habits obvious and cues for bad habits invisible. It reduces the need for heroic willpower.
He even suggests changing environments completely sometimes to break old habits.
Yeah, it can be easier to build a new habit in a new context. Less baggage. Trying to study in the same room where you always play video games. Tough. Go to the library. New association.
That Vietnam heroin study was a stark example of environment, wasn't it?
Incredible story. Soldiers addicted in Vietnam, but most didn't relapse when they came home. The environment, the cues were totally different. Context is powerful.
So people with great self-control often just have better designed environments. They're not constantly fighting temptation.
A lot of the time, yes. They spend less time in tempting situations. They curate their surroundings. It's proactive.
Like that Patty Allwell smoking example, even a forgotten habit can resurface if the old cue appears, like getting back on a horse.
Environment is always talking to us, triggering stuff subconsciously. So Law 1, make the good cues obvious, the bad cues invisible. Leads us to Law 2, make it attractive.
Okay, this targets the craving stage. Make the habit irresistible.
Exactly. The more appealing it seems, the more likely you are to crave doing it. And this is where dopamine comes in, big time.
The reward chemical?
Well, more like the motivation chemical. Habits form a dopamine-driven feedback loop. Things that give us a big dopamine hit, junk food, social media, drugs, become highly reinforcing.
And it's not just getting the reward, it's the anticipation, too.
Even more so. The brain releases dopamine in anticipation of a reward. The bigger the anticipation, the bigger the dopamine spike, the stronger the drive to act. Think about gambling or checking notifications.
Okay, so how do we use that for good habits? Make broccoli more attractive.
Well, one way is temptation bundling. This is clever.
How does that work?
You pair something you want to do with something you need to do. The formula is, after habit I need, I will habit I want.
So like, after I process my emails need, I will listen to my favorite podcast, Want.
Exactly. Or his example, meeting to make sales calls but wanting to check sports scores. So, after I make 3 sales calls need, I will check ESPN Want. You use the want as the immediate reward for the need.
That makes the need habit feel more appealing because it leads directly to something fun.
Right. You leverage your desires. Another huge factor for attractiveness is social influence. We're pack animals.
Clear breaks this down into 3 groups.
Yeah. First, we imitate the Cloys, our family, friends, colleagues. Think of the Polgar sisters raised to be chess geniuses. They loved it because it was just normal in their family.
Surrounding yourself with people who have the habits you want, their habits rub off on you.
Definitely. Research even shows having smarter friends can boost your own IQ. We absorb stuff from our close circles.
Okay, who's next?
Second, we imitate the many, the tribe. We want to fit in. Ash's conformity experiments showed people will literally deny what they see to go along with the group.
So the normal behavior of our culture or group has a massive pull. We don't want to stand out too much.
And third, we imitate the powerful. People with status and prestige, we adopt habits that we think will earn us approval, respect, praise.
So highlighting the social benefits of a habit or joining groups where the desired habit is the norm can make it way more attractive.
Absolutely. But what if the habit itself just feels hard or unpleasant, like exercise for someone who hates it?
Yeah, how do you make that attractive?
This is where the mindset shift comes in. You reframe it, associate it with positive feelings. A simple trick is changing your language.
How so?
Instead of, I have to go for a run, try, I get to build my endurance.
Yeah.
Shift from obligation to opportunity.
I have to save money becomes I get to build future freedom.
Exactly. Focus on the benefits, not the sacrifice. You can even try, like forcing a smile right before you do the habit. Over time, it can create a positive association. Link the cue to a good feeling.
Interesting. So understand cravings, use temptation bundling, leverage social norms, and reframe the task itself. That's law 2. Make it attractive. Now law 3. Make it easy.
This targets the response stage. Humans are wired to conserve energy. We naturally gravitate towards the path of least resistance. So reduce the friction for good habits, increase it for bad ones.
And the key here is repetition, right? Not perfection, just getting the reps in.
Absolutely. Habit formation is about automaticity. The more you do something, the stronger the neural pathways become. Neurons that fire together wire together, Hebb's law.
It's the frequency that matters, not just how long you've been trying.
Right. Your current habits are ingrained through thousands of reps. New ones need that too. And often, the habit itself is just an obstacle to the outcome you want.
Like dieting is the obstacle to being fit, meditating is the obstacle to feeling calm.
Exactly. And the harder the obstacle, the more friction, the less likely you are to do it. So making it easy is paramount.
Environment design comes back here too, making the action easier.
Choose locations that fill your existing routine. Going to a gym on your way home from work is easier than making a special trip. Reduce travel time, reduce steps.
Like the Japanese lean production example, removing tiny bits of friction adds up to huge efficiency gains.
Same with habits. Lay out workout clothes the night before, prep lunches ahead. Small things that lower the barrier to starting.
And for bad habits, do the opposite. Increase friction.
Hide your phone in another room. Delete the distracting apps. Unplug the TV after use. Make it just slightly more effortful.
Even a little friction can be enough to make you pause and reconsider.
Surprisingly often, yeah. Then there's the brilliant 2-minute rule. This is great for starting.
Explain that one.
When you start a new habit, make it take less than 2 minutes to do. Read every day becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes take out yoga mat.
So easy you can't say no.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The goal is to master the art of showing up. Make starting effortless. You can scale up later. Get the initial action locked in.
That overcomes that initial inertia, that, I don't want a feeling.
Exactly. You build momentum with an easy win. He also talks about habit rituals, like putting on running shoes as the ritual that always leads to a run.
Automates the starting process.
And commitment devices. These are choices you make now to lock in future behavior.
Like Victor Hugo locking away his clothes to force himself to write.
Classic example. Or buying food in single-serving packs to prevent overeating. Setting up automatic savings transfers. You make the good choice the default or the bad choice harder in advance.
And the ultimate form of making it easy seems to be automation.
Yeah, using technology or systems so the habit just happens. Like automatic bill pay, prescription refills, retirement contributions. The cash register was an early form automating honesty by making stealing harder.
But technology cuts both ways, right? It makes bad habits super easy too.
Oh, definitely. Autoplay for binge watching. Endless scrolling feeds, frictionless online shopping. It can be a minefield.
His trick of resetting social media passwords weekly to add friction, that's a deliberate countermeasure.
It's about consciously making those easy, unproductive things a bit harder, freeing up energy for better stuff. So, law 3, make it easy. Reduce friction for good, increase for bad. Final law, make it satisfying.
Okay, targeting the reward stage. This seems tricky because lots of good habits have delayed rewards.
Exactly. Our brains evolve for immediate returns. Eat berry, feel good now. Run from lion, survive now. Waiting months for fitness gains or retirement funds. That's hard for our ancient wiring.
It's that conflict between present, you wanting pleasure now, and future, you wanting long-term benefits.
Right. And the key to bridging that is immediate reinforcement. You need to feel successful right away, even in a small way. Clear as cardinal rule. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided.
So find a way to give yourself a little win immediately after doing the good habit.
Yes. Use reinforcement. Give yourself a small, immediate reward. Doesn't have to be huge. Enjoying a guilt-free episode of a show after studying. Putting $1 in a vacation fund jar after skipping a takeout coffee.
Something to make your brain go, ooh, that was nice. Let's do that again.
Precisely. Another powerful tool here is habit tracking.
Making your progress visible.
Moving paper clips, marking an X on a calendar, using a habit app. Seeing the streak grow is inherently satisfying. It provides a visual cue, shows progress, which is motivating, and feels good.
Like, don't break the chain.
Exactly. That visual proof of consistency is powerful.
Yeah.
But he does warn about the dark side. Goodhart's law.
When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure.
Right. Don't get so obsessed with the metric, like steps on a tracker or pounds on a scale, that you lose sight of the real goal, being healthy and active, or start gaming the system in unhealthy ways.
Use the tracker as feedback, not the ultimate goal itself.
Exactly. It guides, it doesn't dictate. And 2 simple rules for tracking. Never miss twice.
Okay. 1 miss is an accident, 2 is the start of a new habit.
Right. Get back on track immediately. And the other is that don't break the chain idea, keep the streak alive, even if you just do a tiny version of the habit. Consistency matters most.
Finally, accountability makes things satisfying, or at least makes not doing them unsatisfying.
Yeah, an accountability partner or a habit contract. Knowing someone else is watching or that there's a real consequence, social or financial, for failing, that adds immediate weight.
Like Brian Harris's public weight loss contract with serious consequences.
Exactly. It makes the cost of skipping the habit immediate and painful, which helps counter our bias towards immediate gratification. And for breaking bad habits, make doing nothing feel satisfying. Find a replacement action that's rewarding.
Okay, so the 4 laws give us a toolkit. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. Clear also touches on finding the right habits for you. Genetics and exploring.
Yeah, acknowledging that genes play a role. Some things come easier to some people, but genes aren't destiny. It's about the explore-exploit trade-off.
Meaning?
Spend some time exploring different habits and activities to see what clicks with your natural inclinations and what you genuinely enjoy. Then, once you find something promising, exploit it, double down, refine it, make it consistent.
Find the game where your natural strengths give you an edge. Like Scott Adams with Dilbert Average Artist, good humor, good business sense, combine them uniquely.
Exactly. If you can't win the standard game, invent your own where your unique combo of skills thrives.
But even with the right habit, motivation fades. Boredom creeps in. How do you stick with it then?
This is crucial. Success isn't about always being motivated. Even pros get bored. The difference is they show up anyway. Discipline over fleeting moods.
Right. Amateurs wait for inspiration. Pros stick to the schedule.
And to combat boredom, use variable rewards, like slot machines. Unpredictable rewards keep things interesting. Keep tasks at that Goldilocks level, just challenging enough to be engaging, not too hard to be discouraging.
So show up consistently, but find ways to keep it fresh and appropriately challenging. And finally, the importance of reflection.
Yes. Regular reflection and review are vital for long-term growth. You can't improve if you're not aware of your mistakes or what's working.
Like the Lakers' Career Best Effort program, or top athletes reviewing their performance.
They analyze, they learn, they adjust. An annual review for your own habits and goals can be incredibly powerful. Step back, assess, recalibrate.
So it all comes back around, doesn't it? The secret to lasting results
is that steady, cumulative effect of small habits building towards identity change. It's not about chasing fleeting happiness from hitting one goal. It's about the satisfaction of acting in alignment with who you want to be.
Desire gets you started, but feeling successful, feeling aligned, that's what keeps you going.
That's the engine of repetition.
Wow. Okay, that was a fantastic deep dive into Atomic Habits. Let's try to wrap up the key takeaways for you, the learner.
Basically, habits are these incredibly powerful levers for changing who you are. They work in that four-stage loop: cue, craving, response, reward.
And you can engineer better habits using the 4 laws. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying.
Understanding how your identity shapes your habits and how your environment triggers them gives you the power to really design your life for positive change. It's about those small steps, consistently taken.
So here's a final thought for you, the learner, to chew on. What's just one tiny vote you can cast today for the person you want to become?
What's one small habit, maybe even a 2-minute one you could start right now, that builds a little piece of evidence for that identity you're aiming for?
This deep dive, of course, is just scratching the surface.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much more in the book. If this resonated, definitely consider going deeper into the source material yourself. There are tons of specific strategies in there.